All right, Dennis.
Take your boot.
No, one of the cult of court, Dennis from St. Louis. Now, be respectful here. He's sick. He's got a torn artery, a major artery in his neck, a stress-induced tear because he's been stressed out and obviously frazzled and at wit's end taking care of his mom because she's got Parkinson's. And he's been trying to get through the program. Well, not get through the programs, but get through that by listening to the programs. He says he's been in a painkiller-induced fog, but Dennis does say the show is better when I'm not in an opiate-induced stupor, but that may just be my opinion. So I'd like anybody, obviously, send good wishes to Dennis and his mom and hope they feel better.
And let us know if the show's any good if you're in an opioid-induced stupor.
Well, that's where I was going with that. Can we get any commentary for it or against it just so we know where we stand with these type of things? We may be opening our programs up to a new audience, one way or the other.
I recorded the shows for about a week in an opioid-induced coma about a month ago.
Do you think most of our audience likes the program better if they're on drugs or off drugs?
I think that's one of the beautiful things about this show is that it unites the drug addicts and the namby-pambies. I don't know what to call it.
No, come on now.
No, I kid.
What in the world?
It unites everyone. Everyone can listen to this no matter what state of euphoria you are in.
See, you went right from drug addict to namby-pamby. There's no middle ground there. There's
nothing but middle ground.
I can dabble a little bit, but not have a problem. You've either got to be full-on Keith Richards or elsewise fucking Jack fucking Webb. What?
You could dabble away, or you could be Keith Richards or Jack Webb. I guess that's both sides of the spectrum right there. Dragnet or drag Keith Richards out the door.
Yeah. It's as far as you can go from east to west, I would figure. But I'm trying to now. See, I wasn't through it. We got to go to Reggie's Corner here
every time.
Oh, and the pollen is so bad. But they say the rain, if it comes, will wash away the pollen. But since the weather we've had, I'd rather have sneezing, wheezing, and dripping instead of fucking death from tornadoes. So we're living with this. But all right, Paul from somewhere, I can't determine where, but Paul lost his cat Speedy last Christmas, and now his dog Leica is sick and is not going to be doing well. And he sent a picture of both of them together in happier times, as they used to say. I'm not even going to talk about the fact the illness and what was diagnosed and everything, because I don't want to go into that. I'll start crying. But he says, I'm glad to be a part of Reggie's Corner, though, because he's looking at it from a positive standpoint. So we salute both Speedy and Leica from Reggie's Corner on behalf of all of us, Paul.
You have finally embraced the idea of Reggie's Corner.
Well, they're writing in asking to be a part of it, to recognize their friends that they have lost. So I guess we're going to do this. If you'd like to be a part of you don't want to be a part of Reggie's Corner. Stop it.
If you have a sick animal and you just gotta talk to people, write to Reggie's Corner. The sicker, the funnier.
Would you stop it? We've got to talk about paralysis.
Do you have a cat with feline AIDS? Please write into the show today.
Is there such a thing as feline AIDS?
Let me look this up. The wonders of the internet. Feline AIDS. Oh yeah, it is an actual thing. Feline immunodeficiency virus.
Well,
it's cat AIDS. Feline AIDS is a viral infection commonly known as FIV and is spread by cats fighting. Just like human HIV or AIDS, cats infected with FIV can develop a reduced ability to fight off infections as the I shouldn't be laughing.
Why are you laughing about a reduced
ability? I got agility and ability mixed up and now I'm a mess.
God damn, you got to duck that infection. Dazzle it with your footwork and get away from it.
The disease progressively disables the immune system.
See, at first they didn't think you could get AIDS from pussy at all, and now we found out it's cats to begin with.
Is that the end of Reggie's Corner? Is that...
Well, yes, because we've got to talk about paralysis. So I'm told him, I'm not kidding either.
I thought you were kidding when you said that before.
No, the next email concerns people being paralyzed. in actual fact, not in fucking pie in the sky theory. It's from Earl, and Earl's written in. I recognize his name. Oh, for heaven's sake. And this is not good, but he's making a point here that I thought while I'd brought everybody to seriousness with Reggie's Corner, we'd make this and then continue with frivolity, not realizing that we were just going to pull our puds all the way through this thing. So Earl wrote, "Dear Jim, I just listened to your comments on the April 3rd podcast about what's going to happen when one of these AEW wrestlers or any of the wrestlers breaks their neck, and I had to weigh in. My dad, Earl Jr., left the hospital for shoulder replacement surgery, and after being home for 5 minutes, fell 3 feet off of his deck due to still being woozy from the pain meds, but he severed his spinal cord.
Oh, my God.
He was immediately sent back to the hospital for 9 months where he had to learn how to breathe again. He was never able to eat again, never able to use the bathroom again, never able to even scratch an itch. I was with him 24/7 for the last 4 years of his life and ended up losing him years earlier than I should have. I could speak for hours about how difficult his life was, all from a 3-foot fall. Wrestling helped us pass the time, but we both cringed every time we saw a wrestler land badly or do something foolish. I can tell you firsthand, our entertainment is definitely not worth someone becoming paralyzed for life because we know firsthand this is not an experience anyone should have. And I wish I had the opportunity to tell some of these wrestlers to tone it down a notch. And I wanted to read that because it bears listening to, and it's not coming again from a grumpy, bitter veteran that can't hang, because I could never have done that shit to begin with, or someone not wanting guys to get over. And truthfully, a lot of times it shouldn't even be the responsibility of the wrestler to tone it down. It should be the responsibility, as we've mentioned many times, of the agents, producers, assistant bookers, promoters, whoever is in charge of whatever company. It should be like you have to have a realistic grip on a risk-reward ratio for what you're doing for the venue, for the amount of money you're making, for the fucking overall good of the business. Even if it's a self-serving, interest by the promoters and the bookers of not wanting guys that they don't particularly think can draw them any money or ain't going to be using too much, of going out and just outshining all of the people they're depending on to draw money or they're going to use on an ongoing basis, and at least be business smart about it, even if you're not being, compassionate enough to want to just keep somebody from breaking his fucking head off on general principle. Do you see what I mean, Brian?
I do. And, we've all had our concerns watching a lot of the recent events, a lot of the recent wrestlers that have been appearing on TV doing more and more, outrageous isn't the word, more and more extraordinary things that the wrong step, the wrong slippery spot, and it could all end. And sadly, as you're watching some of these people do the things, whether they're on top of a ladder or running across the rope or just flipping endlessly, that is one of the thoughts I always have, is this could go wrong real quick. Is it going to go wrong? Thank God it didn't.
Well, later on in the program, I saw one. I haven't even seen anybody make a big deal out of this on Twitter. And it's a couple of days ago, so everybody's forgotten the bump now because they happen so often. But we'll talk about it later on the AEW program, where I thought, well, one more inch and he could have taken his head home in his fucking checked baggage.